So you might recognise that some people, when they're supporting or being independent and looking after themselves, they might mono-channel their senses. And what I mean by this is they will focus on one sensory system and essentially block out the others. So finding it difficult to watch a TV and listen to the sound. So the two together. So you might recognise that someone's watching their favourite TV programme without the sound on. Or maybe they put the words on. So they've got the two ways of processing visual information. Another time they watch the programme, they might have it playing and not watch the channel. So they might not watch what's on the screen, but just be listening to what's happening around it. And this is a classic characteristic of how many young people are helping themselves to regulate information. So a parent's asked me why, when their child is picking out their clothes to wear, they don't look at the clothes that they're choosing. They're just feeling them. So it might be that they're looking down or they're looking around while they're choosing their trousers and their top that they're going to dress themselves and wear. And their parents baffled to know why they always seem to choose a relatively decent outfit to put on, but also why they're doing that and how they're able to do that. So let's think about it. If I become overwhelmed by visual information, if I'm looking at my clothes in the drawer, I'm going to be seeing probably clothes that are lots of different colours, lots of different patterns, lots of different textures. So if I'm hypersensitive to visual information, by looking at all of my clothes, I might quite easily become overwhelmed. I might quite easily find it difficult to actually then complete the task because I'm so distracted with the other visual things happening around me or within that drawer or whatever I'm looking at. So if I'm feeling the drawer and looking elsewhere or maybe even closing my eyes, I'm relying on my sense of touch to discriminate, to identify, to recognise what I'm going to wear. Over time, a lot of people will realise that we use our tactile sensory system in support of our visual. So over time, you will know that a certain object, so a toy, is going to feel that certain texture or that certain weight because of the past experiences you've had of that haptic tactile feeling. It's exactly the same with clothes. So the reason why her son might be doing that is because if he's hypersensitive to visual information, he knows that by looking and concentrating on what he's going to choose to wear can be too much. So he's using a different sensory system to block out the visual and to then be able to support his sensory needs. So that can happen with any of our senses, and by monochanneling it's a classic characteristic of being in control of how we take in sensory information. Another reason might simply, and I say simply lightly, relating to someone being hypersensitive to vestibular information, so that sense of movement. So if I'm choosing my clothes, I don't want to be adding that extra movement in, and our vestibular sense is hugely relating to our visual sense. So if I'm choosing my clothes and closing my eyes or looking down to the ground, that's going to help to reduce that sense of movement, and so I'm going to become less overwhelmed as quickly because I know that the activity after choosing my clothes is actually putting the clothes on. So it's my way of being able to regulate for myself to do that activity.